Tuesday, July 1, 1952. The New York Times by Jean Curavan. 42 are homeless as 400 flee fire. One-man rescue squad spreads alarm as hoses burn on the ground, paint on cars boils. 42 persons were made homeless and 400 badly frightened neighbors were evacuated yesterday when wind-blown flames from a warehouse fire in the Greenpoint section of Brooklyn threatened the entire area. The flames were so intense that fire hoses burned on the ground, parked automobiles were charred, and shiny red apparatus turned brown as the paint bubbled. Despite an inferno-like heat, all those in the burning houses were rescued, although it was necessary in most cases to carry or lead them out through rear exits or fire escapes on the side away from the raging warehouse flames. In the nearby Edwards Hotel at Manhattan Avenue and Clay Street, just across the street from the main blaze, 70 guests, including 6 cripples and a blind man, were led to safety when it looked as though the fire was out of control. The hotel suffered mostly from smoke, water that poured in from a burned roof, and heat blisters. The principal damage to homes was on Clay Street, where 5 wooden houses in an irregular row were wrecked, and the others on the block badly seared. It was from this street, DuPont Street behind it, to which most of the homeless fled, and Box Street on the north side of the warehouse that most of the residents were evacuated. One-man rescue squad. Many occupants of the wrecked houses probably owed their lives to Charles Kazakowski, a Board of Transportation power maintenance worker of 50 Clay Street, who instead of going fishing as he planned on his day off, was on hand to be one of the chief rescuers. When the fire looked as though it might amount to something, Mr. Kazakowski removed his automobile from in front of the house and brought it around to Manhattan Avenue. When he tried to return home, there was such a sheet of flame pouring across the street that he could not even enter the street. He ran around to DuPont Street, shouted alarms to residents there, and then climbed backyard fences to reach his Clay Street home. By this time the flames were licking the building row, smoke obscured all vision, and there seemed to be utter confusion and mass hysteria within the houses. Mr. Kazakowski ran to the top or 3rd floor, grabbed his sister Helen, who was trying to gather up a few things, and led her down the narrow stairway to the rear yard. He returned and helped others leave, but when he decided to go back for his own belongings, it was too late. Everything was lost. Jacob Gerbel, manager of the Edwards Hotel, directed the evacuation of his guests, but meanwhile telephoned his wife, Jacoba, who lives around the corner at 56 Clay Street, and urged her to leave. When she did not appear in a few minutes, he ran to the house, a 3-story frame building with garage on the ground floor, and found her paralyzed with fear. He carried her out just before flames engulfed the entire structure and the one next door at number 54. He owned both buildings and said he had just spent $35,000 renovating them. An ironic feature of the conflagration was that a little 3-story brick building at 1117 Manhattan Avenue, which is built flush up against the warehouse near the corner of Clay Street, was virtually untouched by the flames. On its ground floor was the Gospel Sowers Church, whose pastor, the Reverend S.C. Nurano, led to safety the 2 families on the floor above. He called it a miracle. Over the church doors are the words, "Jesus saves" and "Jesus never fails."